Good morning, everyone. My name is Zhengbao Wang from Zhejiang University, China. I am honored to have the opportunity to end this conference. First of all, I want to say sorry for Professor Zhu. He cannot attend this conference due to a very urgent affair. I am his colleague from the same membrane center in Zhejiang University. Today's my talk is about facile preparation methods of zeolite sodium A membranes for dehydration by pervaporation. First, I want to briefly introduce my university. My university is located in Hangzhou City in China. It is very close to Shanghai, about 1 hour for express train travel. And there's an old saying, up above there is heaven, down below there are Suzhou and Hangzhou. That means Hangzhou is one of the paradise places in China. And we have 5 campuses in Hangzhou. We have a very big campus, about 4 square meter. And my university is a top 3 to 5 university in China. Let's start my talk. Zeolite sodium A membrane has dense continuous zeolite layer on polar support, and zeolite crystals are intergrown very well on the surface. Zeolite A has uniform pores and molecular sieving functions, and it is very hydrophilic. That means it has very high pervaporation performance for dehydration of ethanol solutions, for example. The flux can reach 2 to 9 kilo, and the separation factor can reach 10,000. That means the ethanol concentration in the permeate is lower than 0.09%. Actually, a Japanese company, Mitsui Shipbuilding, has already commercialized zeolite A membranes in 1998, but the membrane module is large and expensive, and the reproducibility is low. So it is important to develop new fabrication methods for zeolite membrane preparation membranes. Usually, there are 2 popular methods for membrane synthesis. The first one is in situ crystallization. It is simple, but the membrane obtained usually has low performance. The second one is the seeded growth. We also call it secondary growth. This process is complex. First, we need to do a seed coating, then we do hydrothermal synthesis. But the membrane obtained has very high performance, and usually the reproducibility is good. Today, I will show you 6 methods developed in my group. And this slide shows the pervaporation setup in my lab. We just put the zeolite tubes or hollow fibers on the stainless tubes, then connect to the vacuum system. This is a dead-end mode setup. The first one is we called wet rubbing seeding method. In China, we can get very cheap aluminum tubes, but on the surface, there are many defects. So we developed a new method we called wet rubbing seed paste. That means we put an aluminum tube in water, then we rub seed paste on the surface. Then we do secondary growth in the synthesis solution at 100 degrees C for 3 to 4 hours. This slide shows we can get very uniform seed layer on a defective polar support, and we can get a very uniform continuous zeolite layer. And the membrane thickness is about 3 to 5 microns. And the membranes obtained by rub seed paste showed very high flux and high separation factor, like higher than 10,000. Second, we call it dip coating wiping seeding method. We put hollow fibers in the seed suspension. Then we draw it back for drying. Then we do hydrothermal synthesis at 100 degrees C for 3 to 4 hours. Then we wash the membranes, then dry it, and we can get membrane. But the membrane usually has very low separation performance. If we add extra process, we call wiping after drying the seed. Then we do hydrothermal synthesis. We can get membranes with good high separation performance. This slide shows if we just do dip coating, the seed layer is not uniform and the membrane is defective. If we do extra wiping process, we can get a very uniform membrane layer and continuous layer. Although the seed layer is not continuous, but there are very small seeds on the surface, we believe. So this one shows very uniform membrane layer in the large image. And in this slide shows the hollow fiber zeolite A membranes showed very high flux than mullite tube. Mullite tube usually just less than 2 kilo, and we can get 5 kilo. If we use high porosity hollow fiber, like 50%, we can get 9 kilo the flux, okay? And the separating factor is all higher than 10,000. And this slide shows alumina hollow fiber. Inside is alumina, porous alumina, and the outside is a continuous zeolite layer. The third one, we can get nano seed crystals by hand grinding micro-sized mesoporous sodium A crystals. This slide shows the traditional sodium A cubic crystals. After grinding, there are almost no small crystals. But if we use meso sodium A crystals, just by grinding, we can get small crystals, very small crystals like seed crystals, very easily. Then we can get seed suspension from methyl sodium A like this. If we use traditional sodium A, the seed suspension is clear. If we use the seed suspension from methyl sodium A, then we can get continuous dense membrane layer like this. It has very high separation performance. Next, we developed zeolite sodium A polymer, for example, PS composite hollow fibers like this. We can get dense membrane layer on the surface just by in situ crystallization method. This slide shows the composite hollow fiber, this one. And the surface, from the surface, we can see very uniform sodium A crystals. So on it, we can get dense membrane just by once in situ crystallization at 100 degrees C for more than 3 hours. The membrane there is very uniform, about 5 micron. And this slide shows these membranes has very high separation factors just after 3 to 4 hour synthesis. The separation factor is higher than 10,000. Next, we developed alumina hollow fibers containing mullite phase. That means we put extra silica powder in the alumina spinning slurry. Then after spinning and sintering, we can get alumina hollow fibers with mullite phase. This mullite phase can see from the XID pattern. With the increase of the silica content, we can see mullite phase clearly. This slide shows the structural parameters of the hollow fibers. With the increase of the silica content, we can see the pore size increase and the surface OH group content is also increased. we use a pre-coating clear solution method to synthesize Zeolite A membrane on this kind of support. Means we put the hollow fibers in the aged clear solution first, then we dry it and do synthesis in the clear solution. Then we can get dense membrane. This slide shows the membrane is very dense, continuous. The thickness is about 3 to 5 micron also. And this slide shows with the increase of acidic content, especially for 5% and 10%, we can get membrane with very high separation factor. The separation factor is higher than 10,000, and the flux is also higher than 10 gram a kilogram. The next one, we developed aluminum hollow fibers containing aluminum calcination transplant. We call it aluminum cal. That means we put some sodium aluminum powders in the sodium A zeolite crystals in alumina spinning slurry. Then we do spin and sintering. We can get sodium A cal alumina hollow fibers like this. Then we can get zeolite membranes just by in situ crystallization. This table shows the structural parameters of the hollow fibers. With the increase of the sodium A content, the pore size increased slightly, and the pure water flux decreased, and the mechanical strength increased. And this slide shows we can obtain uniform and continuous zeolite A and forjacite membrane on both support of pure alumina and sodium cal alumina support. But from the separation performance, we can see only on sodium A cal alumina support we can get membranes with very high separation factor. For example, for A zeolite, the separation factor is higher than 10, and for forjacite membrane, the separation factor is higher than 6,000. The separation the alcohol solution is different for A and forjacite. For A membrane is ethanol, and for forjacite is isopropanol. Now let's come to the conclusions. The first one is wet robbing seed paste or seed powders on defective supports can mend the defects by seeds and obtain dense zeolite membrane layers. The second one, dip coating wiping seeding method can be used for depositing nano seeds on hollow fiber supports. The third one, nanocrystals can be obtained by grinding methyl sodium A powders and can be used as seeds for sodium A membrane synthesis. The fourth, dense membranes can be obtained on zeolite sodium A PES composite hollow fibers by in situ crystallization. Fifth, dense membranes can be obtained on alumina hollow fibers containing mullite phase. The last one, dense membranes can be obtained on sodium A cal alumina hollow fibers by just in situ crystallization. And I thank Chinese government for financial supports. And thank you all for your attention. That's all from my talk.